if they had a 2-hour show that was as good as the segment between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston was on their Friday night show every week, they would be beating Raw and SmackDown. Because I have not seen anything on a wrestling program that reminded me so much of professional wrestling in years. It was a simple deal. Punk said, I'm coming to accept Eddie Kingston's apology for disrespecting me. Well, Eddie Kingston probably don't want to apologize, so I wonder what's going to happen. We got to find out. And they fucking pulled it off. They bring Punk out before the break, and then after the break, he jokes about how he's got to stand in the ring for 3.5 minutes. Just to, again, everybody knows he's been doing that. The viewers at home, it's a way of just saying a little throwaway line that said, well, he's telling the truth. He's not bullshitting. And then he invites Eddie Kingston out to my ring. And they play the music, but then it stops. And then there's the awkward moment. Well, maybe he's not here. Maybe he just likes to interrupt me. And then here comes Kingston down with no music and pissed face. And he gets in and starts mocking Punk, and he's immediately confrontational. And this was great on both guys' parts. I wrote, this is an argument. I started smiling when I was watching this. It reminded me of a wrestling program. It sounded real. Nobody wrote this shit for those guys. They were saying shit that they came up with that it sounded like they were mostly coming up with off the top of their head. They referenced enough names that people know. They've had a history. They've had a backstory. They started in Ring of Honor. This is a smart crowd, so everything registered. Eddie got the people chanting for him as a babyface because he was so indignant, and he carried it off the way that he does. And then Punk was not over the top like Eddie and screaming, but he talked like Punk and said, hey, I wasn't the only one that judged you, Eddie. We all judged you, Joe and Homicide and blah, 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 and you fell short. You had all the talent in the world, but you're a bum. And then, again, all Kingston has to do is answer what's been said. I'm not a bum. Nobody wanted you here in this company. And he's rallying the people back. It was fucking great. And then Eddie does the challenge for Full Gear. Punk said, well, why don't we do it, where you belong, like on Elevation or Dark?
That was a great line.
I swear to God, I used to give a videotape of an argument between Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Valiant on live Memphis TV that they had in 1979 that was completely off the cuff. And yeah, I mean, they didn't write shit back then. They just said, we're going to have an argument. And it was so fucking good. And one of the things that it was a reason for Valiant to turn heel that day. But one of the things that was said was that Valiant wanted to get in on the main event that Lawler and Dundee were booked in on Monday night in Memphis. And Lawler said, no, handsome, you're not in that match. You're in one of the preliminary matches. You know what a preliminary match is. That's where they put the preliminary wrestlers. And that's what you are. Well, that's the worst insult that you could say to anybody in the wrestling business, at least back then. So anyway, the point is I hadn't seen something this good in years of two guys arguing, having a conflict, having a difference of opinion. And finally, Punk asked the people, you want to see us fight? They say yes. He accepts. He says, I'll see you at Full Gear. And as he's starting to get out, Kingston tells him, yeah, and after that match, you can go ahead and quit again and leave for another 7 years. And Punk fucking headbutts him. The freestanding Ronnie Garvin headbutt. Boom. And here we go. A fight. Here come the referees. There's urgency. Here comes some more of the wrestlers from the back. This is not supposed to happen. Here's two guys, one of our biggest star that has just signed to this company, and some other guy are getting in a fucking fight. We've got to stop this. This is not supposed to happen. A pull apart, a break loose. Here comes the security guys. Then Punk does a break loose and does the big dive over the backs of the referees. It's bedlam. They're pulling them apart. Their facials like they want to get at each other. Kingston's frothing at the mouth. Punk's eyes are on fire. excitement. It wasn't a sports entertainment fucking angle where everybody just got to emote and then somehow pull a chainsaw out of the Home Depot under the ring and cut somebody's leg off and beat him over the head with it. Two guys got in a fight because they said shit to each other that they didn't like. And a bunch of people had to pull them apart. And my God, what's going to happen when they fight at the pay-per-view? This is wrestling. Two things they could have added, otherwise it was perfect. Number one, they needed a bell ringing. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it wasn't a match. Why would the bell be ringing? Because I don't care. Go back and watch any video. When people are in the ring fighting and there's people trying to pull them apart and the bell is ringing, it adds chaos. So more cowbell. And secondly, the only other thing that would have made it better and just a little bit more legitimate is if they had Tony Schiavone in the ring introduce Punk. Punk made his entrance. They went to the break. And they came back, and both guys were still standing there, and Schiavone would say, well, Punk, I know that you've asked Eddie Kingston to be here to apologize, and let Punk say, and that's why you need to leave, Tony, because in case this gets out of hand, I don't want you to get hurt because you're too old. And that way he could take the microphone and do the same thing they'd done, and it's like somebody hosting the show had sanctioned him being in the ring and what he was there for. And it just adds a little extra subliminal layer of legitimacy. Otherwise than that, this was fucking great. And it's so simple. Go ahead. I'm just saying you can't overwrite two guys mad at each other having an argument, getting in a fight. They did it perfect. Go ahead.
This was the best angle they've had in quite a while, and it's with two of the best promos in the entire business. If there's any big complaint I can make about it, this shouldn't be on Friday night at 10:20. This is a Wednesday night angle. This was a great angle that you don't bury on your B show. And I agree with you to the interviewer thing. I wouldn't use Schiavone just because he's hamming it up too much.
Well, I'm just
no
saying,
matter who he's with, he's hamming it up, and I don't want that in my commentator.
Don't put excrement up there with that mask on.
No, you put Dasha in there, because then you have an extra concern, because she's a woman. You want to get her out of the ring before there's any physicality.
Well, there you go. But she's disappeared.
She's disappeared, but this is great. Look, CM Punk is, if he's not the best promo in the business, he's right up there. Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's another guy who, he's real. Whether he is or isn't, he seems like he is. And I know a lot of Eddie Kingstons in New York. He's a legit fucking guy, and he comes across that way in these promos. The way they brought him out there, the music plays, he doesn't come out, then he storms out angry. CM Punk did that a few weeks ago. He came out without the music. For some reason, CM Punk's segments seem to be the ones that make a lot of sense. I don't know what that says.
What in the world is it? What do all of CM Punk's segments have in common? Oh, CM Punk. He's thinking about this shit. He's not just going out to do bad television because somebody tells him how they want it laid out.
And how good was this segment? This segment was so good that despite the fact that I love Eddie Kingston on interviews, I've said it before. He's a really strange guy to try to put your finger on what to do with him because of the way he looks, and he doesn't exactly win matches or anything. I think Eddie Kingston comes out of this looking great. Problem is, he never wins any matches.
He better not win this one either.
But you know what? The other thing is, I haven't been crazy about his matches in AEW by and large. I mean, there have been a few I just really haven't liked. I really want to see him in Punk now.
Yeah.
You know, Darby and MJF may say that they're going to start wrestling. It's not going to start as a wild brawl. This match should. This match right here should start these two guys slugging each other. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to CM Punk and Eddie Kingston.
And here's a test. Will Tony Khan have enough respect for Punk and what he's done for the program to tell all the rest of his inmates in his asylum, okay, this is the wild-ass fight they're going to have, so everybody else needs to be different? Or are we going to see the same thing that they do up and down the card in everybody else's match because nobody else gives a shit about that? We shall find out. But I want to see this match now. And and here's another idea. Maybe since people are now chanting for Eddie Kingston, even when he's in the ring with CM Punk, maybe when he loses to Punk, He might come back on TV the next week and get a nice win. You know, like it's been done since the dawn of time, when you've got a babyface that falls short of accomplishing a goal because he's against a top heel. You immediately bring him back on television, give him a few strong wins, make sure people don't lose faith in him. And as far as burying us on Friday night, you can't tell me that this coming Wednesday for the go-home show for the pay-per-view, there's anything that anybody will do for 10 minutes that was better than this segment. So don't do a package. Just roll the fucking segment in on Wednesday. You got a 2-hour show. Take 10 minutes of it and say, here's what happened Friday night, folks, and we haven't censored a bit of this so that you can see exactly what kind of animosity these two men have leading up to this weekend's event.
Can you imagine Wednesday nights we get 15 minutes of Jericho and Lambert yelling at each other, and then this is buried on Friday night. Both guys are the best promos in AEW, other than an MJF who's, a different kind of thing. And they're buried on Friday night. Jericho had 15 minutes to do his bad comedy with Dan Lambert.
Well, now in this one, in this one, Kingston said he couldn't be wherever they were Wednesday because he was quarantined because of a COVID scare or whatever. So they covered that.
That is true. Fair point.
He wasn't there. And again, you want people to watch the Friday night show. Apparently they still do. So it's not bad that something would happen on Friday night, but then show it back on Wednesday to show all those people what they could have seen if they watched the Friday night show. And it wouldn't be Little Brutus versus Adam Cole or whatever. It would be CM Punk and Eddie Kingston trying to rip each other's throats out.
Well, here's another thing. Keep CM Punk off that Friday show. He's been on it way too much, I think.
It wouldn't hurt to rotate some of these guys. They're starting to get enough names, but the point is that they are hot-shotting debuts or big moments that do ratings, and the people don't stay. That means they're seeing something else in the program other than what they came to see that turns them off instead of more on. So you need to address that. And whether anybody wants to believe it or not, the base audience that AEW has that wants and accepts comedy and parody of wrestling, they've already got all of them, and they're welcome to them. But if they want any more, the occasional few 100,000 people or more, the occasional few 100,000 that have already come and sampled and didn't stay, and the more that haven't come and sampled, they need to present a professional, serious product with mainstream talent. And they need to stop burning through everything in every program to the point where, this again? They're beheading someone else? Well, they just did that 3 segments ago. If everything is chaos, then there is no chaos because chaos is the norm. Multiple angles on the same show do not register, and it just confuses people and runs them off. There, I've said it, and that's it.